Hi, and welcome to our next video in Great Hymns of Faith at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Tampa. My name is Ryan. I'm the organist and choir master here. Now that we're entering in the season of Easter, I thought it would be interesting to talk about hymn number 206. The title in Latin is O Filii et Filiae, O Sons and Daughters. The author of this text is attributed to a 15th century Franciscan monk named Jean Tisserand, who died in 1494. Tisserin's text, which begins O Filii et Filiae Rex Celestis, or Sons and Daughters, High King of Heaven, was preceded and concluded by three statements of the Alleluia as it appears in our hymnal. Several additional Latin stanzas were added at a later date. A popular preacher, Tisserand also composed other hymns in French and Latin. In 1492, he actually founded a refuge of St. Madeleine, which was an institution for the rehabilitation of prostitutes. It was also said that he wrote a worship service for Franciscans who were martyred in 1220 in Morocco. His two known Easter hymns are this one and Surrexit Odie. This hymn was found in an untitled booklet in Paris somewhere between the years of 1518 and 1536. We're not sure when or where Tisserand was born. Aside from his hymn writing, some of his sermons are extant and were published after his death. This hymn was translated by John Mason Neale, who translated a number of Latin hymns. John Mason Neale was an Anglican priest, theologian, and hymn writer who lived from 1818 until 1867. Most of his life was spent in ill health, and he lived in relative obscurity. However, he was influential in what we call the Oxford movement, which was a 19th century movement centered at Oxford University that sought to renew Roman Catholic principles and liturgy practices within the Church of England. This was in direct opposition to Protestant tendencies that were going on in the continent. Thankfully, in large part to the Oxford movement, we have, as Episcopalians, we have the best of both liturgical practices of the Roman Catholic and Protestant traditions. As a hymn translator, many of Neale's translations were actually deemed unsingable and were often modified and adapted by others. But he didn't mind this, and he didn't copyright his claims to his translations. He was always happy to have his translations included in hymnals, such as the 1861 hymnal Hymns Ancient and Modern. The tune, O Filii et Filiae, is a melody from a French songbook from 1623, although the melody or the chant goes back into the Middle Ages. An interesting facet of hymns that are designed for congregational singing are the sources of their melodies. Hymn writers were trying to come up with sources for music, and they used originally composed tunes, secular tunes, and chant. This is an example of a hymn whose melody was actually based in chant. Hymn writers in the Reformed traditions were always looking for something familiar so that the congregation could participate in the hymn singing. Our hymnal has two versions of this hymn. It's at 206 and 203. 206 is more freely metered and copies more of the free metrical structure of the chant, which is more closely aligned to its original structure. And then 203 is actually metered, which actually facilitates more simple congregational singing so that it's easier for people to sing together. Today's organ setting is by Linwood Farnham. Linwood Farnham was a Canadian-born organist and church musician and composer who lived from 1895 until 1930. He eventually migrated to New York City after holding a number of jobs in Boston and also in New York City. And he became internationally acclaimed as an organ recitalist, and in 1927 became the head of the organ department at the Curtis Institute, and he remained there until his death in 1930. This particular setting is a toccata. The word toccata means to touch, and it is a keyboard work which is a fiery, flashy dance for the fingers. And a lot of times the melody is in the pedal, moving in slow-moving notes. And this particular toccata has the Alleluia as well as the verse in it, played in the pedal. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching these videos, and if you have suggestions for hymns you'd like for me to feature in the future, please make a comment in the comment sections. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.